what you've witnessed the last 3 months, and for us just having less than 2 months to the elections, would you say that the Electoral Commission is ready? What will be your own assessment so far?
Well, speaking from an Imani perspective, we have been quite critical about the Electoral Commission's preparations for this election. And the reason is simple. We came out of a referendum with a register. We basically had tested our systems up to the point where they were sufficiently okay. And we felt that what was needed was for them to update it and do a few touch-ups and we'll be ready. They elected to do the so-called new register, which is a serious undertaking. And it is proven statistically, the checks are there, you can go across the countries, we put the data in our earlier information, that when you do a new register and you procure new equipment and systems, the first time you use them, you encounter a lot of problems. We have had that problem in Ghana. Over time, it tends to get better. Now, all that said, therefore, the Electoral Commission deciding that they were going to do a new register, procure new equipment, set up a whole new elections infrastructure for this election gives us some cause for worry. That said, the heart of Imani's case against the EC was that these things they purported to do for a total of about $150 million could not have been done under the COVID arrangements and all those other things. And we saw what happened. In other words, what I'm saying is that they didn't do all of it. Now, not having done all of it, what it means is that we still have some of the legacy systems in place being used, but they clearly have added some new systems. So we are not sure to what extent the election system we are going to use is entirely new or is a mix of old and new systems. If they were older systems experienced in things that we had used in the past, we would have had a higher level of confidence about the smoothness of the pending election. Having introduced new systems, we are not too sure how it's going to go. But I think the Electoral Commission had its own plan. Okay, and when I say it had its own plan, they made us all believe they were going to procure entirely new systems, new servers, new satellite systems, new electoral register, new everything. Clearly, like I said, that's not what they've done. So I have some confidence that they have chosen, okay, what they are comfortable with, and they will get us through this election with that. Okay, I've said a lot. What I'm trying to say is that I can't tell whether this election is going to be as smooth as we hope it will be, because the Electoral Commission has decided to introduce new and untested systems. However, I think they knew what they were doing, and hopefully they have just put together a system that they know they can manage and will get us through this election smoothly. We want a smooth election. We want this to happen. I'm also saying this because the registration process, which we said they couldn't do within that number of days, they pulled it off because they didn't do a true fresh registration. So I'm thinking that's the same thing they are going to do. They'll say we are going to do this, but they'll actually do something else that they are comfortable with. And all well and good. Okay, we want the election to come through smoothly so that whoever loses will not say the Electoral Commission did something about this election. And I hope that is what will happen.
But really, aren't you crying over spilled milk?
Oh, no. You see, before the fact, we said things and we were bold about them. And the things we said, we didn't just say it. We backed them with real data from other places. One of the things we said was that if you implement entirely new systems, the first time you use them, you would have problems. That has happened everywhere in the world. Okay, and we also said that under COVID, and given the time that we had, it was not prudent and that it could not be done. Okay, now, what has happened is that they have not implemented an entirely new system. Okay, so to that extent, I'm saying, fine. It means there's some hope that things will work out well. Am I crying over spilled milk? No. I'm just saying now that I hope, just like what they did pulling off the register, they would find a way, which is not exactly what they said, to also pull off the election. So as we speak, we are saying we hope it will work out, okay? And if it does, we are happy it will work out. We don't wish them ill. We don't want things to go bad. We are simply saying that be careful, because once you've introduced new systems, you should expect that there will be a heavy, amount of disruption, and they should hedge against that. They should prepare for that. We experienced it in Ghana. The first time we used the systems, we had huge problems. After some time, we had very few problems. Now they've put in new systems again. It is not spilled milk. We are just sounding a warning. And we are happy when we are proven wrong. We are happy to sound the warning and to get you to go and do the homework and come and do it right, and then nothing happens. We are very happy that we'll be proven wrong. So it's not really spilled milk. We are just shining a light and sounding a warning.
If you look at this very EC, the head of the EC, the various deputy commissioners, and the current management body of the current EC, how do you think they'll rate, or can you compare them to previous electoral management bodies?
I think this EC compares favorably to the previous ECs. The only problem is that if you take, for instance, Charlotte's time, there were too many fights within, and that led to her leaving. So to that extent, I think her EC did not succeed. But if you take the people before, the problems are normal, the solutions are the usual things. We engage with them. The only issue we've had with this EC is that it decided to go on this tangent of wiping out everything and bringing in totally new things, in the year of election with very little time. And clearly, like we've said over and over again, the technical issues did not justify that kind of move. Now, so after that decision, which we took them on over, they've managed to so far do well. And to that extent, therefore, I commend them. Look, I will be happy if this EC pulls off this election uneventfully. I will be very happy. I have a feeling they know what they are doing and they are capable of doing that. I just think that it is not necessary to put us all under that kind of stress and to take on additional problems when you don't need to. I believe it would have been better for them to have worked with the existing system we use for the referendum and get through this election nicely, and then move into a system where from this election, all subsequent elections will be done with the national ID card. This whole idea of the EC insisting on doing its own elections card is wrong. No matter what justification is given, is wrong. And I remember that it was designed to be so because at the time we did not have a national ID system. Now we have a national ID authority. So after this election, we all should work towards making sure that the national ID will be the only card that we need to vote in this country.
And overall, what do you think will stand in the way of Ghana getting a peaceful election this December?
Again, as far as the EC is concerned, I think they are working hard to pull things off nicely. So I don't worry too much about them. The IGP is responsible for making sure that he keeps the peace, and that cannot be taken for granted. I believe, or I hope, that they are doing the necessary work to make that happen. We should always know that there are political thugs. We should always know that some people find violence, some people find confusion beneficial, especially those who are losing and who don't want things to go straight and they want to raise issues about the election. And unfortunately, politicians tend to have that tendency. We should all be aware that if they get the chance, or if we give them the chance, they will do the wrong thing. It is just the nature of the beast. What happened in Ayawaso, which we have not resolved properly, can happen again. And to that extent, I think it falls to the IGP. I think the president or the people who run the country presently also have a responsibility to ensure that security is tight and citizens feel sufficiently safe to go and vote and to even come and observe the counting, etc. And it requires them to bring their own people under control and to make sure we have systems in place to make sure that the people in the NDC also do not go beyond a certain point. Generally speaking, we don't have a reason in Ghana to have violent or rancorous elections. We don't have a reason. And I can tell you, I don't have any doubt that as of today, 2 weeks from the election, 95% of the people have made up their minds already. What will happen will happen. And I don't see what role violence plays or intimidation plays in that whole process. People should just get to the point where they will respect the verdict of the people. And to that extent, those who bear a responsibility must make sure they carry out that responsibility properly. and the others who think that some sort of confusion is going to work in their benefit should think twice. And I think there must be a very high price to pay for people who do things like what happened at Ayawaso. Unfortunately, after the commission, we haven't seen much action.
A day or two ago, the vice president bought Wache using a QR code. Of course, we know that that's not novel, but it also means technology has come to play in what we do, in our livelihoods. Post 2020, into 2021 and onwards, how do you think the state of Ghana needs to position technology in its policy direction, etc.?
We should have a mindset about technology that it is an enabler. And in this day and age, you cannot be as efficient as you need to be without technology. That should be clear. And so we should seek to infuse as much technology as we can into everything that we do. That being said, technology is not a solution by itself. I am a champion for what the Vice President does in terms of his digital agenda, and almost everything is that he does I've been happy with, except one, which is the drone project. And I'm using that as an example because it exemplifies the point I make that technology is not a solution by itself. Now, the drone project was supposed to help in the distribution of medical logistics across Ghana. When it comes to the distribution of medical logistics across Ghana, a country which has less than 300 districts and now has about 16 regions, there is nowhere in this country a motorbike cannot go. For a fraction of what we spend on the drone project, we can have regional centers and district centers and have a distribution system by which things get where they have to get on time. And if for some last mile or some other small reasons here and there, we need to top up with technology, then maybe we do so. But to just go across the whole system, leapfrog, okay, from a system where the simple things are not done and you invest millions in a technology system supposed to solve all the problems. Now go and check what is happening with the drone system. It is not working very well. Regardless of what anybody says, the numbers, the outputs, the outcomes have not been what people said it will be. So ultimately, there are things that we have to do. And when we've done those things, we add up the technology to back it up. All right? So I am absolutely sure that we need to infuse more technology in what we do, but we must do it very sensibly, in a very calculating way. We should not assume that just slapping technology on a problem solves the problem. It doesn't work that way.
You mean the drone technology being used to do the transportation is not adequately being done or could have been better?
Yes, you see, ask yourself what medicines were being ferried and what. What I'm saying is that there is no sensible reason why we should not have a good distribution system which is regionally based in this country. None. You should have a regional distribution system for medicines and other consumables, etc. Now, I believe there is some system for that. It's just not working. And we need to make it work. Now, from a regional system, the districts should have a distribution system where you have a sense of what is used, etc. Of course, you can't predict everything. So the 10 to 5% of things that will be needed on an emergency level then can be dealt with using technology or whatever it is. In any case, in this country, we have airlines that fly every day. Okay? You can have these things, sent using even the drone system. My point is, you don't jump over something which we should deal with and assume that putting millions of dollars worth of technology on it is going to solve the problem. And I'm saying a check and a review of the drone project will show that it has not solved all the problems we have in medical logistics and distribution. So let's use technology, but let's be clear that it does not solve all the problems if we don't do the basic homework we need to do.
The Electoral Commission is being blamed for leaked on Google Drive of the voters register. Now, I've seen you also make some commentary on it on your page, which we all tend to visit very often. Would you say the Electoral Commission was right, or this leakage could have happened advertently or inadvertently?
Well, I don't have a problem with publishing names, okay? But the point of the whole issue is you publish people's names and their ages, and you publish their full names and their ages against their polling station and other such things. Look, biodata and other forms of data are sensitive. They are sensitive. When we did common entrance, the results were put on a wall. You know your index number, you can check your result. but you can't check other people's because you don't know their index number unless they give you their index number. That's the whole point about the voter's ID. There are banks in this country which will give you account information if you call them and you say, oh, I lost my card or I lost this, I want some information. They will ask for your middle name, maybe your full name, and then they will ask for your date of birth. Okay, when you combine what the EC has put out to what we put out on Facebook, we put out our month and our day, okay, there's something called data triangulation. And the people who do identity theft, they know a lot about this. They can go to your Facebook, then they go to your Twitter, they pick one from here. Now, EC has given them the missing pieces. All right? They pick those two. And then maybe they'll get some form you filled from somewhere, they pick your mother's name. When they do sufficient triangulation, so somebody can mark you, Roland, and triangulate data around you for 6 months and get all your information. The little pieces they won't get are the ones that the EC has put out. So the point we are making is this. I am absolutely in favor of publishing the register. I am also absolutely in favor of a continuous registration process. So there should be a permanent website where if you are a voter at any point in time, you can go and check. All right? But you don't need to put my full name, age, and other things on that. There's effectiveness. You can do the job without doing all these things which are negative. What are we discussing now since they put it out? We are discussing the breaches of privacy. Okay? And the point people are making is, well, it's good, they put it out, so it's good. I'm saying, fine. You could have done all of that without creating all this negative. And I don't know why we take on unnecessary stress. In any case, I am reliably informed that the EC did not intend to do that. I don't know if you are aware. I am reliably informed that they took it down. Somebody put it on a Google Drive by mistake. They took it down. Okay, I don't know if they've still taken it, but it's gone already. Okay, my point is this. If you spend $150 million on data in etc., how is it that you have such a security breach that somebody is able to put that information out and it goes out before you take it back? Something is fundamentally wrong. And if we don't deal with what caused this, you don't know what else will be caused. All right. So I'm all for it, but this was unnecessary.
And before we go, Martin Amidou just resigned. He's ascribed a number of reasons why he decided to resign. On a personal level, would you say he was right?
Oh, absolutely think that Martin Amidou made his points clear. I was a consultant for 15 years before I became a lawyer, and we help people doing, management and setting things up and that kind of thing. So I can tell you from a professional point of view, none of his reasons specifically dealing with the setting up of the OSP, none of them holds water. Okay, he was given the authority to do the work, and he was given sufficient resources to do the work. I don't say all, but sufficient. Nobody needs 250 people to do the work from day one. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, in terms of those things, I don't think Mr. Amidou's, excuses hold water. Maybe the suggestion is that the presidency should have helped him to do it. I think if the presidency had tried to help him to do it in the way he envisages, he could have also complained that they were trying to maybe infiltrate his system or whatever it is. What we all must know is that when you have the skill like Mr. Amidou has in law, it does not necessarily endow you with every other skill. Okay, I can tell you that there are 5 key areas that every institution needs to run. You need HR, you need operations, you need communications or marketing, you need finance, and then you need IT, admin, and support. Now, not everybody is skilled in setting all these things up. So usually you get a consultant to help you to do all these things. I didn't see Mr. Amidou do that. I didn't see him hire functional heads who will do all these things. I have made the point and I insist. Some people are leaders or fighters for a narrow reason. They can fight a particular battle. They can go on and execute a particular function. But when you talk about leaders for the broader, setting up of an institution, you need a stable head. There's a whole, in business, there's a whole dichotomy between leaders and managers, okay? And it's in that spirit that I'm speaking. You need somebody who is stable, who can set up systems, can set up processes, and can work with and through people to achieve these goals. And if you are the type who can handle that stuff, you hire people to do it. And indeed, he was given the resources to do that. Now, the other thing I'll say is that when he talks about frustration, I don't say there is no frustration. I don't say there is no intent to interfere in his work. All right? I mean, it is in the nature of human beings and specifically politicians to try and influence things that concern them. But even from Mr. Amidou's own account, what the president sought to do does not rise up to interference. The president seeks to give you a certain viewpoint about what you are doing and says, let the person involved respond. Even in law, there's room for that. Now, even if the president sought to influence what he was doing, it is for the president to make a request and for him to say no. He had the authority in law so to do. To take umbrage and say, why did the president ask me, is wrong. It's unbecoming of somebody in his position. So essentially, much as I'm not saying there's nothing to the suggestion Mr. Amidou makes that people were seeking to interfere, what I'm saying is that whatever happened, according to his own account, did not rise to the point of interference. It is entirely reasonable. It was for him to say no and to go ahead and do his work like he did. The excuses he gave in terms of setting up and whatever it is, everybody has had their own, saying about that. But I speak as a professional and say that they didn't hold water. If you take even the law, he was given sufficient authority and sufficient resources to do his work. He could have started and he could have built from there. Mr. Amidou took on Woyomi alone with no state resources, and he managed to succeed. So to say he can't do anything if he doesn't have 250 people and a 10-story building handed over with a ceremony, I don't think cuts it. So it's just unfortunate. But those who know Mr. Amidou are not surprised.
Thank you for having me, sir.